Hello, my 92 subscribers, and welcome to my name of the week, which I kind of abandoned for 2 weeks because I have been so tired, and I unfortunately will be missing it for at least the next week, but that's a later problem. But today's name of the week is Scott. Now, this name has been in the top 1,000 male names for over 100 years now. And you all probably know a bunch of, especially if you're North American or from the UK, you'll definitely know Scott. And I met a guy named Scott, and I was just walking and thinking, and I was like, I didn't know the meaning of it. I didn't know, I generally have that skill where everyone I meet, I kind of know what their name means. And I didn't know what Scott was. And I looked it up, and it was so obvious that I wanted to deep dive into it and make a whole video on it, but I'll get to the meaning afterwards. So the name Scott first came about as a surname, and that was first recorded in 1120 when it was given to the clan Scott and the Romans who were living in the UK area, well, the Scotland area that we know it now, recorded a man named Uhtredus Filius Scotus, which will translate, Filius Scotus will mean son of Scott. And now the Romans gave the name Scott to those inhabiting the Scotland area. Now it's interesting that the Scotland line, the surname, which is now one of the most popular surnames that come from Scotland, can all be traced back to this guy, Uhtredus Filius Scotus. And so we then can we still are able to trace this man's noble lineage. And someone who's very fascinating, as I was deep diving into this, is a man named Michael Scott. No, not the one from The Office, but Michael Scott, a wizard. That's what caught my eye, was because I had actually never heard of anyone be considered a wizard. That wasn't a part of the story. So this Michael Scott, if you want to look into him, he was a mathematician and some sort of bishop, but also not. He's tied to like this legend that he turned a bunch of witches into stone, and that's where we have Long Meg in the Cumbria area. Forgive me, I don't remember the full name of it. But another thing that's funny about him is that he's reference. So this man, remember, this wizard is a direct descendant of Uhtredus Filius Scotus, and so a couple hundred years later, this guy comes on who's considered a wizard. He's referenced in Dante's Divine Comedy being in the 8th circle of hell, which is reserved for sorcerers and false prophets, which many believed he was. Another one of the other famous descendants of Uhtredus Filius Scotus is Sir Walter Scott, who was writing in this, I believe, the 1700s. But it's very just interesting that you can trace back this crazy lineage full of very notable people. But that is the past in the surname section. I mean, I've only so far discussed Scott as a surname, but let me talk about it as a first name. Now, Scott became a more popular first name in the early 21st century, and it was primarily given to those who were immigrants from the Scotland area. And not even just the Scotland area, a lot of people from Ireland were naming their son Scott. And then from there, it became most popular in the 1960s and 1980s, but it's still today in the top 1,000 names. So it's not going to be shocking if you meet a baby Scott, especially one that doesn't come from Scotland. Now, if you haven't guessed already, the name means from Scotland, belonging to Scotland. And that's what the Romans gave it, because gave that name as it came from Scotland. What's funny that I find is that the name Scott actually has no Gaelic etymology to it, but everyone presumes it's Latin, but there's actually no confirmation of what exactly Scott means. One of the theories that I think is really cool and highly possible is that it comes from the Latin term scutum, which means shield. And it was possibly used to describe those with shields, since the Scott clan was known to be a part of many raids or many battles. So here you go. This was today's name of the week. Bye.